Do we need a motion for that, Clem, or can we just?
You've done that in the past, but you can also do it without objection.
Okay, all right. And I skipped the ethics statement. In accordance with Board Policy BH, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of such conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict with respect to any matter scheduled to come before the board at this meeting or appearing on our proposed agenda? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from participation in the matter involved. Seeing none, again, we will move forward again to our adoption of the agenda. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Baker.
I move that we accept the agenda as written.
All right, can I get a second on that? Ms. Johnson?
I second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right.
Oh,
Are we missing anybody? All right. All right, the ayes have it and the motion passes. Thank you.
oh my Lord. Isn't that good?
All right, at this time, we're going to recognize our public officials.
Representative Valencia Stillwell, would you please stand?
All right, thank you, Representative Stillwell, for visiting us tonight. Next, we have, you're going to be public officials. Next, we have board recognition. That's what you just see here.
Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, Dr. Beasley, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to do the presentation of recognitions for the month of January, and as you can see, we do have quite a few. I would ask Dr. Colbert if he would please come and join the board up front, along with Dr. Michael Robinson, the principal of Stillwell School of the Arts. Tonight, we are proud to recognize all students and adults associated with the production of Amadeus. Competing in the Class 2A level, the production placed second in the state one-act play competition. Now, this is not everyone, as you can see by the slide, because it takes a lot of individuals to put on this kind of production. It should also be noted, and we are joined by Jonathan Batisi, well, I got it right, the director of the production. He is with us and I want to introduce these three young people that are with him. These are young people who earned special recognition at the event. Katisha Alberto won the title of Best Actress in the entire competition. and Marsalis Causey and Nubia Causey were named to the competition's all-star cast. In recognition for their outstanding work and the performance of Amadeus at the competition, this group will be performing at the Georgia Thespians Convention, this production, this coming February. Congratulations. And now we'll take some pictures.
All right, everyone, if you look up here for me, on 3, 1, 2, and 3. On hold for one more. 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you. Next up, we would like the folks who are involved with Terra Elementary School to please line up along the far side so that they can make their way to join the board down front. While they're lining up, we would ask Dr. Ebony Lee, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, and Janetta Greenwood, Coordinator of K-12 Science Education, to please come forward and join the board down front. Last month, the district held its first stimulating reading and writing competition. The event was created to provide 4th and 5th grade students with the opportunity to compete in a literacy and technology competition while engaging students in STEM learning experiences through reading, writing, and engineering design. Tonight, we are honoring quite a few individuals. First off, I'd like for the students who are here from Fountain Elementary, the adults and students who are here from Fountain, who finished second, to please stand. They're in the audience so that we can give them a round of applause for their outstanding performance. Also, if you notice that we also had a tie for third place with Callaway Elementary, Brown Elementary, and Smith Elementary. If anyone is here from those schools, if they would stand, we'd also like to recognize them. So we're bringing the group up now to join the superintendent. It is and the board. Tonight we're honoring this first place team from Terra Elementary School. As a reward for winning the competition, the team earned a trip to the International Science and Engineering Fair, sponsored by the Intel Society for Science and the Public. That fair is taking place in Anaheim, California. So we congratulate them, and now it's time for photos. Parents? Oh, would the parents of these wonderful students who are here please stand so we can recognize you guys and thank you? I apologize. Now it's picture time.
All right, everyone, if you look up here, on count 3, 1, 2, and 3. On hold for one more. 1, 2, and thank you.
Incidentally, the assistant superintendent for Terra Elementary School is Charmin Johnson. I forgot to call her up, but we won't forget next time, okay? All right. So this time I'm going to ask Dr. Tim Guiney if he would come forward. And I will ask Mr. Derek Manning if he would come forward as well. And I would ask Representative Valencia Stovall to please come forward. And any of the other adults who are here who participated in this project with Forest Park High School. And would the students line up along the side wall over there? Clayton County Public Schools is proud to recognize the students of Forest Park High School who participated recently in the STEM Up competition. And that's the wrong one, I'm sorry. This is the School Parent Teacher Student Association activity in which these students from Forest Park High School were awarded a $2,200 grant by the National Wildlife Federation for a student-led environmental assessment survey project. The students created a survey for the community to identify and assess the liabilities for the environment in the cities of Forest Park, Conley, and Lake City. And if they could come forward. Now, after 10 weeks, the students presented their findings and suggested solutions to the community at large. The analyzed data was presented by the students as a slideshow and through personal shared experiences. A special thanks is extended to Ms. Lorene Arnold, teacher sponsor, Ms. Arvis Walker, PTSA president, Dr. Lawanda Famali, community leader, and State Representative Valencia Stovall for their supervision and leadership, as well as the organizations and individuals who partnered in this collaborative learning effort. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm going to ask Dr. Guiney and Mr. Manning to remain up front. And any students who participated in the STEM Up activity, if they would join these individuals up front. There's a possibility they may not be here. But we're proud to recognize the students of Forest Park High School who participated recently in the STEM Up competition sponsored by the United Way of Greater Atlanta. Modeled after the television show Shark Tank, this live competition allows middle and high school students to use their ideas, voice, and leadership to improve our communities. The Forest Park High School team earned first place and were awarded $5,000 in grant funds to implement their Food Forest Initiative project idea. In addition to recognizing the students, also we commend the teachers and project advisors for their commitment, making sure these students were prepared so they could compete successfully. Congratulations. Okay. For this next recognition, we asked Dr. Sandra Nunez, Deputy Superintendent for Student Support Services and Federal Programs, to join the board up front. And we asked the principals who are here to be recognized for PBIS status to please line up or to join the superintendent and board down front. Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, or PBIS, is a proactive approach to establishing the behavioral supports and social culture needed for students to achieve social, emotional, and academic success. In Clayton County Public Schools, PBIS is a team-based approach that uses monthly team meetings to review discipline, data, and implement school-wide strategies for the purpose of decreasing behavioral issues that adversely impact teaching and learning. And they can come on forward. Recently, the Georgia Department of Education recognized 13 Clayton County schools for their implementation of the PBIS program. The schools are on the screen. Those schools that are operational, and I should point out that 3 of our district schools, Adamson Middle, Callaway Elementary, North Clayton Middle, were accorded the Distinguished Status recognition, which is considered the highest level of state recognition in the PBIS program. Congratulations. Yeah, we need you guys to slide down a little bit so we can get everyone in the picture. Right? A few on one side, a few on the other side. 1 or 2 kneel in the middle. Anybody short? For our next recognition, I'm going to ask Dr. Nunez if she would remain up front, and I will ask Dr. Ralph Simpson, our Deputy Superintendent for School Leadership and Improvement, if he would join the board up front as well. Last month, the board recognized the 4 district schools that were designated as Title I Distinguished and Reward Schools. Prior to our semester break, the school district was informed that the state had added a Clayton County school to the list. Would Dr. Denise Stevens, principal of Kemp Primary School, please come forward. Tonight, we are proud to recognize Kemp Primary School as a 2019 Title I Reward School as designated by the Georgia Department of Education. Reward schools are among the greatest improving schools that represent 5% of all Title I schools and 5% of all Title I targeted assistance schools. Congratulations. For our final recognition, I would like to introduce Mr. Courtney Dillard with Infinite Scholars Program to make a special presentation.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Courtney Dillard. I represent the Leadership Team USA and Infinite Scholars. We are a organization that provides college scholarship offers and opportunities for rising high school seniors so that they have the opportunity or the option to go to college for free. And over the last 2 years, Clayton County Public Schools, through the director and leadership, the superintendent, Dr. Beasley has been a part of the Infinite Scholars Free College Scholarship Fair, where over the last 2 years, there have been more than 1,800 students come from Clayton County, and they have received awards totaling about $35 million in college scholarship opportunities. And so we'd just like to congratulate not only the parents of these fine students, but also the teachers, the counselors, and all the staff that have motivated those students every day toward their future. But mostly, I'd like to thank and congratulate your superintendent for the hard work and the vision that he has for the future of the children of Clayton County Public Schools. So before I go any further, I do want to let you know that the Free College Scholarship Fair this year is going to be 3 days, October 16th, 17th, and 18th. And we're looking forward to hosting and welcoming the seniors for Clayton County at the fair this year. So on behalf of Infinite Scholars in St. Louis and the Leadership Team USA here in Atlanta, Georgia, we'd like to present your superintendent, Dr. Beasley, with the Superintendent of the Year Award for his
Clayton County in 2019 took home more money for their students from our participating 500 colleges and universities that come to town to give your students, your children, your sons and daughters an opportunity to go to college free. It's because of your hard work and the dedication to your students that we give you this award. Thank you.
Up here on 3. 1, 2, and 3. Hold for more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Also, before we move forward, I wanted to ask, are there any more public officials in the audience? And if so, would you please stand? Is Ed back there? Okay, I'm with you. Okay, we got two. Okay. All right, and okay, Ed Wise from Jonesboro. Is it Jonesboro City Council? Make sure I got everybody right. And yeah, I didn't even know that was you, Kenny. Kenny from Riverdale. All right. Thank you. Thank you. What are you talking about? The police? Okay. Also, we have our police chief back there in the back, too. I want to recognize everybody. Is that correct? Fire chief? Okay. All right. Good. What city? Morrow. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. As we move forward, we're going to move on to our public participation. Let me get that out. I got so many papers up here, but I'm going to shuffle them around. The Clayton County Board of Education welcomes public participation and will hear any interested individual pursuant to the guidelines outlined by Policy BCBI. Members of the public will not be allowed to discuss individual personnel issues or confidential student matters. Speakers must identify themselves and topics before speaking. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak, and time may not be yielded from one speaker to another. Board members will not respond to comments from speakers. The chairman or chairwoman may respond as appropriate. Issues requiring possible action by the board may be added to a future agenda. Issues that may need to be addressed by the administration will be duly noted. Abusive language and or personal attacks will not be permitted. Individuals addressing the board must at all times adhere to the civility policy. All right, our first participant for public participation will be Linda Tate.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Linda Tate. My whole agenda has changed tonight. As I walked into the building and I saw all the young people, it brought back 39 years of being in the classroom. And I would never, never bring down a child, destroy him, say anything, because we try to build them up. So as I saw the young people in attendance, I'm going to take a step back of what I wanted to address tonight. But while driving here, the Lord told me to ask you a question, but there's one thing I will address. I'm asking you to, I see that, I don't know if I'm out of place, Morrow is on your list. There's some other schools that need to be fixed, y'all. They're killing some of our children and making some of our teachers sick. So I'm gonna ask about that one. But you wanted me to ask you one thing, as my pastor asked us on Sunday, to focus on one thing that will change your life. And I'm asking Clayton County School Board. I saw all those children, and that brought joy to my heart. I was elated, but it wasn't enough. It's not enough. And I'm serious. It's not enough. So what's the one thing that Clayton County, the school system, can focus on that's gonna make all of them increase, all of them great? Because we got 6th graders, little boys, got the hair, got the jeans, 2nd grade reading level people, where that's gonna take them. You know where they're going. They ain't going to nobody college, nobody trade school. You know where they're going. So that's what I want you to focus on. what's the one thing that's gonna help us be a better school system? Totally.
Thank you, Ms. Tate. All right, the next person on our agenda will be Representative Valencia Stillwell.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent. Happy New Year to you all. I just want to come and let everyone know that session begins January the 13th, our 2020 session, and also invite everyone out to our Clayton Legislative Delegation. Our pre-session meeting will be on Wednesday, January the 9th at 6 o'clock at the new Atlanta Technical College facility. And also, Atlanta Technical College will also be doing a tour that'll be starting at 4:30 p.m. So invite everyone out. And we also are looking forward to having the new voting machines demonstration there as well. That'll be about 5 o'clock. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see what the new voting machine will be actually utilizing them across the state in March for the presidential primary. So you get a chance to come out and see how that demonstration is going to go. The next thing I want to talk about is asking, and not sure if you all have done it, but I know previously you had removed the public comment time from being recorded, and I'm just coming asking that you all reconsider that, to put that back and allow for public comment time to be recorded so that the citizens can be able to see. For those who cannot make it, they be able to go online and being able to see what's going on. And just want to say even Atlanta Public Schools recently added that back to their agenda and voted on it. And also looking forward to the partnership with the apprenticeship with the International Painters Union. I know you all been working diligently on that. I think it's going to be very beneficial for our students to be able to get that training for those who decided that they're not, don't want to go to the 4-year, but being able to get out and work and take care of their families. I think we'll be actually the first school district to be able to do that. So I think us being able to lead off on something as strategic as that, I think will be a big plus for our county and for the school system as well. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Representative Stovall, we are starting back with the public comment, so it is being recorded and people should be able to hear. Thank you. Next on the agenda will be, okay.
Can I correct the date for the legislative delegation?
Okay.
It's actually January the 8th on Wednesday. Yes, thank you, Dr.
Okay, thank you. Next we will have, is it Dr. LaWanda Falami?
Greetings, Vice Chair, Board Member. Happy New Year, first of all.
Happy New Year.
I come to stand before you all in reference to the children that you all just gave certification to. I would be very remiss because they really challenged me to come to tell you all thank you. Each of those students worked hard. Member Judy, you was there. They worked hard. They did the data, they did the environment, they did the interviewing. They did the internship, and they asked me, Dr. Falami, would you just go before the board, although Dr. Manning is here, to tell them we said thank you. On tomorrow, they will be going on a little event, as you all know, so we thank you from the depth of our heart for supporting us behind our students. They are some amazing children. They was able to come out their shed, they was able to kind of find their space they needed to be in, and they did an awesome job. Also, Ms. Williams was there, part of this team. We just so grateful, and we're looking for a higher ground. They spoke on climates even before climate became to be exposed to the community. So when we was excited about when the Democratic Party had a debate and their subject was climate. So I just come to yield my time at this point to tell you all thank you on behalf of those group of students. You really made them excited. Thank you.
And Dr. Falami, tell them that we said thank you too for all of their hard work and that we are very proud of them. Thank you. All right, that ends our public participation. Next on the agenda, we will have the election of board vice chair. At this time, I need nominations for board vice chair. Ms. Johnson.
I nominate Dr. Alika Anderson to be the board vice chair for the year 2019-2020.
Mr. Christmas? Are there any other nominations on the floor for vice chair? All right. Seeing none, we will go ahead with the vote. Please vote your pleasure. And it passes. Dr. Alika Anderson is the board vice chair. Thank you. Thank you all so much. And I just want to say this, I don't take this for granted. I really love the camaraderie that we've had with our board this year. I've been praying for this. I've been praying, for our board. I pray for Clayton County Public Schools every night before I go to bed because I know that you all are doing great things. I want to thank the staff for everything that you all do. You all, a lot of times we don't say thank you to you all, and it's not that we just don't get a chance, but I just want to say thank you on behalf of me, and I'm sure the board feels the same way. Ms. Williams and Mr. Christmas, Ms. Burrows, Ms. Johnson, and Ms. Baker. We just want to say thank you for everything that you all do. I know it's a hard job because you all know I do this every day, but again, I want to thank my colleagues again and just know that I don't take this for granted. I love Clayton County Public Schools. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we will go into executive session to discuss, what all are we discussing tonight, Clem? Personnel and property, okay. To discuss personnel and property. May I get a motion at this time? Mr. Christmas?
I move we go into executive session.
All right, Ms. Baker? Please vote your pleasure at this time. All right, and the motion passes. We will go into executive session to discuss property and personnel. Thank you. I have submitted to the board for your review the Division of Communications, Public Relations, and Marketing 2019-2020 school year update, a review of our first semester, events and highlights, and a preview of what to expect during the second semester. I would be happy to entertain any questions that you may have at this time. All right, board members, are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, I'll move forward. Okay. Thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Dawkins. All right, next on our agenda is Dr. Ralph Simpson, School Leadership and Improvement. And Dr. Lee will be coming up.
Good evening. Good evening, Vice Chair, Superintendent Dr. Beasley, board members, community members, and district staff. Of course, it's always a pleasure to provide an update on behalf of School Leadership and Improvement. So tonight's presentation is regarding the schools that were identified for the Georgia DOE and GOSA designation list. So I did provide a handout that goes into more details on what each of the designations, the criteria, as well as the exit criteria, but just in summary, for schools on the comprehensive support and improvement list, those were the schools that when you rank them according to their 3-year CCRPI score, they were in the lowest 5%, except for Perry. They're on there because of their 4-year adjusted cohort graduation rate being less than 67%. For the promise schools, they're more so a proactive list of pre-warning. They are within the 5 to 10% being of the lowest Title I schools in performance, but again, it's just more so a proactive measure to prevent them from landing on the CSI list for next year. And then for the targeted support and improvement schools, when the subgroups were ranked according to their performance, they have at least one subgroup performing in the lowest 5% of schools and at least half of the CCRPI components. Or they may have one subgroup performing in the lowest 5% in all components. So I will say for our schools listed, the students with disability, that was the area of focus. And then finally, the governor's turnaround schools, they have a 3-year CCRPI average of 57% or less. So that's why they're on the list. And while last year we didn't have any schools except for Perry on the list, when you look at the other neighboring areas, many of them have more schools than we've identified. So our focus more so is just support these schools so they can exit the list. So at this time, I'll go through the plan of support very briefly. So the Georgia DOE has provided all districts with a cycle for improvement. And this is the same process that we follow for our monthly district effectiveness meeting. And they've outlined the 5 systems that districts should consider and schools should consider in order to ensure that all students are ready to learn and graduate ready. And those 5 systems are outlined up here: coherent instruction, professional capacity, supportive learning environment, family community engagement, and effective leadership. So the schools that have been identified on the list, they have to do a deeper dive into those components to determine what factors are contributing to them being on the list, but more so how they can exit the list. And so surrounding the document, they will go through a needs analysis where they will identify really the issue that's keeping them from producing better student outcomes, determine the intervention that's needed, plan the implementation that's required, as well as implement it, and then from there, to refine and determine what needs to occur next. So all of the schools that I've just described on the previous slides, they will have to do a comprehensive needs assessment around those factors. One of the requirements from the Georgia DOE is that there's a district plan of support, and the plan of support must be above and beyond what we're doing for all other schools. The plan of support must also align to the school's identified needs based on what they determine to be their area of focus. And then the plan of support must align to the school's improvement plan and their short-term action plan. And so you will note here, those are the areas that we will have to delineate on how we're truly supporting each of these schools based on their identified needs. This is a summary slide that just highlights what I've gone over. So all of the schools will have to conduct a data dig to determine why they're on the list. Then they will have to do a comprehensive needs assessment that pinpoints the specific areas of need. From there, they will develop their school improvement and their short-term action plan. And some of the areas of focus will be ensuring that teachers have meaningful time to come together, to learn, to plan, to really consolidate their understanding around the standards, and to plan for effective student lessons. And then the last two bullets support the effective implementation of a standards-based curriculum and ensure that our schools have various measures that they can use to monitor student learning along the way. So this slide is just a summary of what all supports that will be provided to the schools. The next two slides are customized based on which list the schools landed on. So for the CSI schools, they will have support from the Georgia DOE as well as the MRESA. They will also have funding provided to support their school improvement needs, and they will attend a leadership conference for support. And the CSI Promise schools, they will also have Georgia DOE support and then district level support with monitoring, providing feedback, and then of course the district plan of action. For the targeted support and improvement schools, they will have district and school level reviews and walkthroughs with timely feedback. They will also receive funding to support their school improvement needs. They will have on-site support provided by the Georgia DOE, and then they will have the option of attending a Georgia-led school improvement training as well. For our GOSA turnaround sites, they will continuously have support from school level and district level reviews with feedback and targeted resources. And so the process that we will follow aligns to the Georgia DOE continuous cycle of improvement, where we're planning the supports based on the targeted need, identified need, that we're actually providing the support that's needed. We're making adjustments along the way and ensuring that the schools are moving toward coming off of the list in which they've been designated. Now for our schools that are on the Title I Distinguished and Rewards list, and I've added the beating the odds because that data came out as well. For Title I Distinguished schools, we have elite scholars in Stillwell School of the Arts, so they were in the top 5% of the state's Title I schools in terms of their achievement with their CCRPI score. And for our Title I Reward schools had the greatest gains. So we acknowledged them at the last board meeting, and after the second round came out, Kemp Primary was rewarded and acknowledged. And so we're excited about those schools. These are the schools that were beating the odds based on their current demographic and unique characteristics. They're outperforming schools with similar characteristics. So we have 11 schools on this list. And this is just a comparison from last year to this year for the number of schools that were either beating the odds, meaning doing better than their like peers, within expected range, below the expected range, and then the difference. And so you can just see the change in number of schools there. Thank you for your attention. Are there any questions?
All right, board members, are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we will have from Student Support Services, Dr. Sandra Nunez. Okay. All right. Alicia Dunn, Dr. Dunn.
Good evening and Happy New Year, Madam Vice Chair, Superintendent Beasley, board members, community members, and colleagues. This evening I'd like to present some updates from Student Support Services on three areas or three initiatives and interventions that we feel like have a profound impact on our students' ability to succeed academically and in their post-secondary endeavors. So we will be looking at the whole student, key indicators and interventions for success, supporting academics, school attendance, and student behavior. So I'd like to begin with Gear Up. That's our initiative that we actually began participating in as a district in 2017 under Dr. Beasley's leadership. When we started with our 7th grade students, we had about maybe 4,200 students participating at that time. And that's our largest cohort of participants, and actually the largest cohort of all participating districts that are part of Gear Up Georgia. So Gear Up, the acronym has been around since about 1995-96 with President Clayton. gaining early awareness and readiness to undergraduate programs. So the goal of that, as we have listed there, is to increase our students' access to and remove barriers to academic awareness and preparation, increasing student and family knowledge of post-secondary. So what does it mean to be actually post-secondary readiness? What does it mean to be financially aware and astute and being able to provide for and pay for your college, your studies beyond high school? And also to promote professional development for our counselors and teachers. And that has been one thing that Gear Up Georgia has done consistently every year, providing support and professional development for counselors, but specifically teachers. And it's not just any teacher in the high school, but those teachers that work specifically with those grade level students. And so our students for the cohort, class of 2022, are our 10th graders at present. Our Gear Up cohorts in terms of numbers, so you can see when we began, we were at our largest. Well, not our largest, actually, we were a little bit less than that, but we were at 43, 45 in terms of our 2017, that was our 7th grade students. 8th grade year, we were 46, 45, and then we saw a decrease. But that's typical because of how our students are transient, are in high grade mobility, moving throughout the district as well as outside of the district to our surrounding counties. And then also we have a drop for our 10th grade year, 3,889 students. Now this is just those students who are part of the original cohort. But the grant does serve all students who are in 10th grade. So that means that even if our students are retained in 10th grade, they still benefit from the grant, serving that cohort students. So if it's a tutorial that the students may have participating in some other extracurricular activity, for example, Ushers New Look will begin with Stillwell and Elite Scholars, and we have one other school that's participating, I want to say it's Drew High School. And we'll begin that soon, the latter part of January, moving into February. So that's one benefit that the students have that are part of that grade level. So not just the cohort, but the overall grade level. But the numbers presented here is just for the cohort, looking at where we began in terms of numbers and where we are now. So how do we support success in Gear Up? Well, we do a lot with our college readiness, of course, with seminars. We do a lot with youth science because there's a career component to that, making sure that our students are aware in terms of career-wise. What does it mean to graduate post-secondary ready, career ready, as well as college ready, face-to-face tutorial. We engage parents a lot with our financial aid workshops and seminars, especially during the summertime. We offer the workshop at University of Georgia and Columbus State University, mentoring, online tutorial. So every 10th grade student has access to tutor.com that's paid for through Gear Up Georgia. So that's paid for by the grant. So in addition to face-to-face, we also have a resource that's available to them 24/7. So with that tutor.com, students and parents can schedule appointments with a tutor. And it's online at their leisure. So it could be on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, in the afternoons, whenever it's most convenient for the parent and student. And then to schedule a time for a tutor with algebra, foreign language, whatever the course is that the student's taking that they need support in. Our parent information sessions have been the most beneficial in terms of parent knowledge, because we found that barrier has been one of the biggest in terms of our students being able to succeed beyond high school with parent awareness and having the knowledge of what that means to be, again, college and career ready after graduating from the Clayton County Public School. The Scholarship Academy, we partner with Justice Johnson's Scholarship Academy, and that's been phenomenal. Having the students go through courses in terms of how to actually look for scholarships. What does it mean to actually do a scholarship search? How do I search for a scholarship? And also the online virtual application for the Scholarship Academy, which allows the students to keep track of their scholarship dollars on their handheld application, so handheld device. So that's been wonderful as well. Our partner university with Gear Up Georgia is Clayton State University. So they've been fundamental from day one in helping us to be successful with Gear Up in Clayton County Public Schools. So again, we are the largest cohort, and we've been the most successful with Gear Up Georgia, and we're very proud of the success of our students. Clayton County received an award on June 3rd, 2019 for the number of students that participated in the mock ACT. So this would have been for our students during their 9th grade year. So we had the highest participation rate of any participating school district out of the 11 in the state of Georgia. Of course, you can look at what the data says there. Elite Scholars at 82%, number of participants, the average composite score was a 19, which is good for our students at the 10th grade level, meaning that they've not been exposed to a lot of information at that point in terms of math, so on. So we were pleased with that. And what we do with this data is used to inform how we move forward in terms of those supports provided to help students succeed academically. So we look at where the deficits are. Georgia does. And then that's how we tailor the supports for the students in the upcoming year. Okay. Our next impactful endeavor has been communities in schools. We've been very proud of our involvement with communities in schools. We can see that they have been fundamental at our high schools here, Drew High School, Forest Park, Lundy's Mill, North Clayton, and Riverdale. And we've added a middle school this year, Lovejoy Middle School. This is the first middle school in the district to participate in communities in schools. So the active participation begins this semester. So we've been very happy to have that and have that expansion. So we can see how they have impacted the graduation rate, and that has been their focus, to work with the cohort of students, and that's driven by the principals, looking at their data and seeing where the support is best, where they can best get that support in their school day, where it's going to be most beneficial. So North Clayton High School, 5.8% increase from the community and schools involvement. So that's been phenomenal, again, in helping the schools to reach their goal, their percentage and graduation rate, of course, which has been upward, and we attribute that, a large percentage of that, to communities and schools. Communities in schools and agencies. So how do communities in schools impact attendance, behavior, and courses? Everything that they do will touch one of those areas: attendance, behavior, and courses. Because the goal, of course, is to make sure that their caseload of students, that they're in school every day, that they're present and on time and ready to learn. So when they do that, and they understand why there's a need to be there, then of course the behavior turns around and we see an increase in academic performance. So moving along there in that the same lines to improve our graduation rate, 85% of the cases managers and students did not fail courses. 35% of those passed all courses. 70% of the case managed students in the 2018-19 cohort who are not on track will graduate on time, which means that on time may mean 4 years or may mean 4 years in a summer. But those students have graduated, and those case managers that are at the schools have been very diligent and deliberate in their work to make sure that the students receive the additional supports. And a lot of times it's not just what's happening academically inside of the school. Sometimes it's those extraneous variables that can spill over into the school day that can impede a student's ability to be able to be successful that they help with, like having housing, so clothing, utility bills covered. So they do those things as well by connecting the student and family with the community resource. Improving attendance and behavior, 85% overall attendance rate for case managed students increased. 65% of students have an average attendance rate of 90% or higher. So they monitor attendance very carefully, meaning that when they're looking at the attendance rate for the students, if the students are showing to have an attendance problem, then that's an individual student that receives attention in terms of why are you having the attendance issues, what's causing you not to come to school. Because if they're not in school, then they cannot learn and they're not going to be able to do well after graduation. So, and 80% of the case managed students received no in or out of school suspensions. So we were very pleased with that data as well. So our goal for this year, when we look at the data from last school year, what do we want to do different with communities and schools? We want to make sure that we are increasing community engagement with the schools, meaning those resources that are available, making them more accessible to the schools. So, and that's with those caseload students, case managed students, and also the whole school. So they do serve the caseload, but there's a percentage of their time that's spent with the whole school as well, that they're working with. Again, in providing emergency support assistance to families. So they may spend 20% in terms of financial assistance, providing financial assistance to families in need of that support. An example being Riverdale High School, where they supported the burial of one family member for a student. So our collective impact, we're looking at our physical health of our students because we do an integrated support. So it's not just focusing on one basic resource to help students be successful, but holistically. So looking at that in terms of vision screening, vouchers for students and families in need, working with our Clayton County Community Development, quality enrichment programs, meaning before school, after school, and that's where our our case managers are really working hard with those agencies within the community as well as outside. So while we have a lot of our support coming from the Atlanta area, the metro area, we're trying to focus on resources here in the district as well, in the county as well. So college readiness, working really closely with Clayton State, Benedict College, and Georgia State University. And funding support United Way in Clayton County. So looking at how we can extend or expand or build upon our resources that are accessible for our students. Our next resource, which is new for us and we're very excited about, is our SEL Panorama Education Social Emotional Learning Survey, supporting the whole student. This is a survey that we began administering last year in 2018. We expanded it this year down to our 8th grade population, 8th grade students through 11th grade. Took the survey, about 11,000 students were surveyed, 11,764 students. So the age range selected, when we're looking at 8th graders, we want to obtain as much data as we can moving to the 9th grade year. And 11th grade, then moving to the senior year. Because we know that 8th to 9th grade transition, we can stand to lose a little bit, and we want to make sure that we're not doing that. And then with our 11th graders, looking at those skill sets that they will need to be successful beyond high school. So our rising seniors, so when we're looking at our rising seniors, we're talking about the class of 2021. So our survey, it took a year to develop. It wasn't anything that happened overnight. We had a lot of conversation with Panorama Education because we wanted to make sure that the survey would gather the information that we needed. So we focused on 6 topics relative to CASA's research: self-management, self-efficacy, social awareness, grit, and emotional regulation. So each one impacts one of those areas we just talked about: attendance, behavior, and course performance. So it's a little bit hard to read, it's kind of blurred, but this is a sample from the summary report we received from Panorama Education after this administration. The number of students, again, who took the survey this year increased dramatically. We did survey more than the 11,764 responses received, but we have to go back and adjust for those students who are no longer with us, who left during that transition time in between when the survey began and when it ended. So emotional regulation, we're seeing that our students scored at 49%. So what does that mean? How well do students feel that they can regulate their emotions? So how will we use that information? That information is utilized to say, well, if a student is not behaving well in classroom A, maybe during literature time in 4th grade, maybe there's something else behind that may be causing that misbehavior. So that's why we need this information from the survey, because it will help to guide those supports that we may offer to that 4th grade teacher in that classroom to help her understand how to best deal with that student who's not able to necessarily manage their emotions. So how can a student bring themselves down from 20 or 10 to 1 again in the classroom without disrupting the classroom? So can the student do that on their own without disrupting the learning environment in the whole classroom? Grit as well, we're at 58%. We saw a decrease here in terms of going down maybe 4, and that could just be maybe a couple of students. But how well do students believe that they can persevere through setbacks? So why would we use that? Sometimes it's those setbacks that can cause students to commit those suicidal acts or have suicidal ideations. One disappointment. So that's how we will use that information. And a lot of times, students may not be as forthcoming when they're right there in front of you, but when they complete a survey and it's done anonymously, then that data can be useful for us. Again, going on to self-efficacy, self-management, and social awareness. The data that we see here, this is from a district perspective, but we can drill down. When we drill down, we go down by grade level, by gender, by race, and by subgroup. So when we say by subgroup, we're going to look at our ELL students to see how well they scored per question. So it's by emotional regulation, grit, growth mindset, self-efficacy, self-management, and social awareness. We can go and see how those students, those 169 that did not feel as though they were very strong in those areas, and look at what may be the issue there, as well as our special education students. We've not had data like this before. So when we're looking at utilizing this data, this helps our interventions be more targeted, looking at the outcome, anticipating, expecting a better outcome from our interventions because of the data that we have here to guide those interventions. So the school's use of the data: social emotional learning and ABCs, attendance, behavior, and course performance. So when we look at attendance, we're going to look at engagement, self-management, and self-efficacy. So 2 of those areas we were looking at on our survey. So in terms of students managing their behavior, do they feel that they can persevere, that they can overcome maybe their shortcomings? A lot of that can impact attendance. If I feel that I'm not doing well in school, then maybe I'm not as interested in school, particularly when you're looking at your higher level students, your high school students, a student who's been retained several times. They may have an issue with self-efficacy. So if we can focus on that, we know that ahead of time based upon the data, okay, going down by subgroup, then from subgroup to actual student, then that helps us to really direct our targets, our interventions, and our support services. Behavior, again, looking at self-management, social awareness, student-teacher relationships. It can give us a lot of insight in terms of why students are behaving the way that they do in a classroom. And also not just from an administrative level in the school or a support services level, from actually an instructional level, where the classroom teacher can see the data and then understand exactly what's happening. Why can't I seem to get to the student? Why are we having this issue in the classroom? And then lastly, course performance. So when we believe that when they're in school, they're engaged, they're believing in themselves, they're managing their behavior, then they're able to perform academically. And a lot of this will be able to, again, support that academic performance and their success in school with the data that we will obtain or have obtained from Panorama Education Survey. And we're one of the first districts, or the first district in the state of Georgia to actually administer this and to obtain data from this survey to use it to guide our interventions and support services. So the data will be utilized by counselors, school social workers, school psychologists, our entire circle of support team, as well as school administrators to guide their overall efforts for the year, and classroom teachers when they can see it and understand how to best use it. Okay. So how do we support the whole student? Again, add a key data resource or source for circle support and student support teams, measure student growth in areas beyond academics, because all these things help students to be successful in their post-secondary endeavors. We can measure student growth beyond academics, so when we see an improvement in attendance and behavior, then we're going to see an improvement in academics. Understand the effectiveness of the SEL program, so through our working with the work in our professional learning department, and utilizing this data, when we go in and we do our mindfulness sessions with our teachers, we can see actually the impact of that, matching our students with appropriate supports, creating a culture that promotes positive relationships and mindset, so it actually impacts the overall school climate as well. So there are multiple uses of the data. Okay, and then lastly, promoting students' perspectives and mindsets. We want to change their mindset, their perspective, how they view school, and their ability to be successful in school. Okay. And that's it. Any questions?
Board members, are there any questions at this time? Ms. Baker?
I really appreciate this because we don't realize what some of our children go through outside of school and how it affects when they come home. I see the circle of support, but do we have, I don't know if it's a class, a session or something, to kind of get for all students to say, hey, these are things that affect your emotions, and how do you deal with them? I would like to see that across the board, like on day one, so that the kids know that, hey, if something's going on, there's nothing wrong with me saying something or going to somebody, instead of them dealing with it till the point that they know they can't anymore.
Yes, we do. And particularly when we're dealing with our older children, they're less likely to divulge as much as our smaller ones, typically, especially when there's something that when they feel that they're not, quote unquote, maybe good enough to the established standards. So the use of this data and then taking the data back to them to explain to them what this survey again was about and how we were able to utilize the data they provided, and encourage them to continue that process of speaking up, but not just anonymously in the survey, but if they have an issue, to say something. And not just for the student to say something, but also for the friend of the student to say something. If they know that my best friend has an issue, but they're not going to talk about it, but I need to tell you about it. So we ask them to speak up, to say something, see something, say something. And they have a little form that they can fill out. And it's this is at secondary, but we're pushing it down to elementary level as well. And they fill out the form, this is the friend, they will give it to the school counselor. And that school counselor or the circle support team member who's available at that time will then call the student in and talk to the student. So we're trying to create multiple layers to make sure that accessibility, we're there when the student needs us, as well as removing any perceived barriers to communicating. So there's nothing negative about not feeling good about myself on this day.
Years ago, I know at Jonesboro, they had a locker.
Yeah.
That was, I believe it was painted red, that kids could go and just slip stuff in, and then a counselor each day would go and check the locker so that nobody got seen going into the counselor's office, or, because a lot of times kids have this information, but they don't want to be a snitch, and,
We don't have a locker anymore, but it's like a box.
Yeah, so I'm that's what I'm wondering. If we have something that's that's secure, but kids can kind of just kind of go by and throw something in there and say, you know, Johnny's got some problems at home and, you know, whatever. Because
We do have that, but it will vary by school because we left it up to the school council, the support team, the circle of support team to determine how that would best suit that particular school. So it varies, but yes, it does exist. Now we want to monitor that to make sure that when that happens that we do have the follow-up, and that's what we do with the core leadership team to make sure from student support services that we are following up to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the students. And again, it's the introduction to data like this that helps us to really see and to own what's happening in our buildings based upon tangible data.
Board members, we're going to move on. Are there any other questions at this time? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is Dr. Beasley.
Well, I'll be short since Dr. Dunn took all my time. I just really wanted to share a transportation update. I want to recognize the transportation department, all of our bus drivers. You all know, if you don't know, you should know, we implemented an incentive program, an attendance incentive program to see if we could basically improve our on-time delivery rate. Dr. Smith has been working with that department and providing some direct leadership. We're pleased to share that in November, out of 368 bus drivers, 334 of them earned the incentive bonus. In December, 344 earned the bonus, and all of them earned the group bonus. So they received individual bonuses and group bonuses for the month of December. So the on-time rate is an average of 94%. I think the highest rate that I saw in the month of December was 97% twice. So our goal is to get to that point every day. So we're very pleased. Let's give our transportation department a round of applause, our bus drivers. So that concludes my update, and so we'll begin with the other items.
All right, I might have to drive me a bus. Next is going to be for the consent agenda, Ms. Emma Benton.
They said be short. They've already read the items, everybody.
Yeah, we read. Okay. Our board chair made sure.
Good evening, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Beasley, and community. The board has for review the district current financial statement as of November 2019. On our comparison slide, do we have does anybody have the, Dr. Dunn? We have the comparison slide for the district financial status of as of November 2019. And as the board can see that our fund balance is $58.4 million as of the end of November. The next two slides show our monthly revenue and expenditure, and it's compared to our FY20 budget as well as our last year's actual. And as the board can see, our revenue as well as our expenses are coming in as planned. These reports are presented as a part of the consent agenda. Are there any questions?
All right, board members, are there any questions at this time? All right, thank you.
The next financial report is the SPLOS revenue report. This report includes our monthly balance sheet in addition to our revenue by month. Are there any questions?
Any questions on the SPLOS revenue report? All right, seeing none, thank you.
Additionally, I wanted to provide the board an update on our TAN. As the board is aware, we received a TAN of $30 million in the month of October. The TAN was repaid in the month of December earlier than expected. It was paid on December the 20th, repaid on December the 20th, saving the district over $15,000 in expenses, interest expenses. In addition to that particular update, I also wanted to provide the board an update on our compensation. In phase one, the board is aware of a number of accomplishments that came out of phase one that was implemented this school year. Of course, the teachers received a $3,000 raise in addition to a step on average. That was a 5 to 7% increase. and that, of course, impacted over 3,000 educators on the teacher scale. In addition to that, we know that all employees received a 3% raise. There was an additional dollar increase for employees, it's our lower level employees, grades 13 through 19, the bus drivers, the custodians, the nutrition workers, the bookkeepers. On average, those increases was 9 to 10%. Over 2,000 employees were impacted by that. It cost the district $2.5 million. In addition to that, the board is very well aware of the compensation adjustment for our administrators. There were over 430 employees that were impacted on that piece. So now we're moving to phase 2. The board is aware that we presented, I think in October, November, what we were currently working on, where we place in the market as it relates to recruiting and retaining teachers, how much we're paying them on the teacher scale. So of course that work has been done. In addition to that, we have pulled together a cross-functional team so that we can get some feedback in terms of what our educators are looking for in terms of additional incentives. So we're working on that. Of course, we are looking at what we call our middle group of employees. That's grades 20 through 26 in phase 2 of this adjustment. This group of employees, of course, received a 3% increase, but they didn't receive the additional increases that, over 85% of other employees may have received. So we're looking at that as well as exploring many other incentives. The goal is to make sure that we are competitive and that we are retaining the best and the brightest. Are there any questions on the compensation piece?
Board members, Mr. Christmas has a question.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Yeah, am I correct? Are you talking about the phase 2 that we saw in the retreat?
I'm sorry.
Are you speaking of the phase 2 of the implementation of the pay increases that we saw in the retreat?
Yes. So we've started the work on phase 2 already. We've already implemented phase 1 where we had all of the different increases.
So are you telling me you implemented phase 2?
No, we're just doing the analytics, just doing the research, just getting feedback.
I thought I was going to say because the board never got. I was just making sure you didn't implement phase 2 without us knowing. Thank you.
Did we go through the purchasing report A, B, and C?
Yes. So we're getting ready to walk through the purchasing report. Okay. The board has for review the purchasing report for November 2019. And so we have reports A and B, which is for the board information only. On report A, those are purchases over 10,000, as well as report B, purchases over 10,000. Are there any questions on report A and B?
Any questions, board members, on A?
Report C is the contracts report. It's over 50,000, and these contracts require the board approval. Are there any questions on report C?
Any questions on report C and or B?
Wow.
Thank you.
Typically happen for me, but okay, thank you.
All right, next we will have our SLOSS construction update.
Good evening, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Beasley. First item for consideration is the SLOSS construction update. 6 payments were made. There's 1 deductive change order. At this time, I would be glad to answer any questions regarding ongoing projects.
Board members, are there any questions at this time?
The next item is the bid for the new Morrow High School. The apparent low bidder is Media Construction at a price of $85,720,000. The superintendent recommends that the project be awarded to Media Construction. Are there any questions?
Mr. Christmas?
Ronnie, is this the lowest bid that came to us?
Yes, we had 8 bids. The lowest bid was at $85 million. The highest was at $97 million.
My question once again
is why do we always go with the lowest bid? And we end up repairing air conditioners and repairing fixtures, and it seems as if Leisure is the one that we always have a problem with. And so when this item come up for, when we vote on the consent agenda, I want to have that for Dr. Anderson to vote separately.
Okay, we can do that. We can pull that. All right. All right, are there any other questions at this time? All right.
Okay, the last item is the fiscal year Georgia DOE application resolution to amend. Are there any questions?
Ms. Baker?
I was just going to go back and kind of bounce off of what Mr. Christmas said. I keep hearing that at the end of the day, we have punch lists, and anybody's who ever bought a house, a new house, knows that there's a punch list of how many, wall sockets need to be trimmed out or whatever. And I hear we have problems with some more than others. Is there a way that we can get an update of, who actually finishes the job for what they say they do versus these huge punch lists of items? Like I said, a socket that needs a new plate, that's one thing, but if it's 20 or 30 pages on a punch list, I kind of want to know who they are, because I've heard in the past that we have let people just walk away and we've had our people do it. And I don't know that all that's true. It would just be, if I had more information, then I could justify or not,
Certainly there are contractors that have less of a punch list at the end, but rest assured every item is addressed, and we work with all of operations. There's a warranty period. Again, these contractors are in the county, so they have a vested interest to make sure that they produce a quality product.
All right, any other questions at this time? All right. Next we will have Dr. Jamie Wilson, Personnel Changes Report.
Good evening, Madam Vice Chair, other members of the board, Dr. Beasley, community members. The Personnel Changes Report covers the period of November 13th, 2019 through December 12th, 2019. As of the report, there were 145 teacher vacancies. Compared to last year this time, there were about 160 teacher vacancies. An update on the Retention Task Force. The last meeting was on November 7th, 2019, and an output from that meeting was the distribution of the mid-year perception survey. It was shared with employees on December 18th. It closes on January 15th. At the January meeting, the February meeting, the goal is to analyze that data, provide the results to the individual departments and schools so that they can begin work on their retention plan for the upcoming school year. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the Personnel Changes Report.
All right, board members, are there any other questions on the Personnel Changes Report?
Dr. Wilson, will you just share if you have teachers that are on that task force? Teachers are on the task force? Yes, there are teachers on the task force from elementary, middle, and high school. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we're going to vote on the consent agenda, and we're going to pull the New Morrow High School and vote on that separately. All right, so I need a motion to approve the consent agenda with us pulling, again, the New Morrow High School. Mr. Christmas?
So move, Madam Chair.
All right, and Ms. Baker?
Second.
All right, board members, please vote your pleasure at this time on the consent agenda. All right, and the motion passes. Thank you. Now I need a motion to vote as far as the New Morrow High School and Clayton County Stadium 4. All right, Ms. Baker?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the bid for the new Morrow High School and Stadium.
Can I get a second, Ms. Burrows?
I second the motion.
All right. Board members, please vote your pleasure at this time. All right. The motion passes with 5 in favor and 1 against. Thank you. All right, next we're going to look at the business agenda for adoption of the board meetings 2020 calendars. Board members, do you need a chance to look over that one more time, or has everyone looked at everything? All right. All right, we're going to go on and vote on this tonight. Can I get a motion to vote on the adoption of the board meetings 2020 calendar? Ms. Baker?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the adoption of the board meetings for the 2020 calendar. I would like to let the public know that the reason for the change in February is several of our members will be at
The FRN conference?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
what we'll be lobbying up in DC. So that's what a lot of us will be gone for that. So that's the reason for the change.
So that, I just wanted the public to know that. So yes, I ask that we approve this.
All right. And can I get a second on that, Mr. Christmas?
Second.
All right. Board members, please vote your pleasure at this time. And the motion passes. All right. At this time, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? All right, Mr. Christmas, second on that? All right. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Have a good one.